Prusa finally announced the price of the Index Multi-Tool Changer for their Core One printers. The prices are a lot higher than what was originally promised or talked about last December during Formnext. I want to get into what those prices were, what the prices are, and a little bit into why the prices are what they are today. First, let's look what they talked about last December. According to Tom's Hardware, Prusa said that the 4-tool changer would be 499 euros, the 8-tool changer would be 699 euros. For American dollars, that would be $585 and $820. We're talking about an almost $200 increase on the cheaper 4-tool changer and an even closer to $200 increase for the 8-tool head changer. Why is that? Luckily, the Prusa team took to Reddit to give us a lot of answers. But before we go to that, let's cover what the Index actually is. The Index is Prusa's answer to the multicolor printing problem to allow you to print multiple colors, extremely quick filament changeouts, and extremely small amounts of waste. So we're talking here about 12 seconds per change. That is an extremely fast time, especially compared to what Bambu's putting out with their Vortex system, which could be upwards of 1 minute or more according to how long your tubes are connecting your AMS. And then as for the amount of waste, they expect only a small 13 milligrams of waste per head change. Apparently there's no priming. There's no prime towers needed for this. I don't know how they do it, but that is amazing. That is an amazing amount of filament savings. Probably not so much for the cost of what you would save considering how much this thing costs to purchase. Probably more so if you care about the environment and you want to limit the amount of waste that you're throwing away versus having like 10 kilograms of waste from printing a bunch of stuff. You're gonna have hardly nothing. Let's get into why this cost $200 more than what was originally discussed back in December. Luckily, they all went to Reddit to give us a lot of answers. So I read through this Reddit post that they had talking about the new Index changer when it became available. And I went through and I read all of the comments that was made by the Prusa team. And there are some telling things in there as to why it costs so much. Some of them you might expect, some of them you might not. Some of them I might be afraid to talk about because I'm probably gonna get some flack for it. I'm gonna talk about it anyway. First, we have just the cost of the hardware. Apparently Bontech originally said that the price estimates that they had in the beginning were optimistic. If they're that optimistic, why did they provide them? That's a good question. That's kind of a bad marketing tactic, but we're here now, so we're going to deal with it. They said, fact of the matter is that it cost them more to manufacture the Index than they had originally estimated. They honored the original price for the people who purchased the Founders Editions, which is good on them. I have to applaud them for doing that instead of raising the price for the people who already pre-ordered the devices, those very early adopters. Lucky you if you managed to get one of those. So now again, they talk about the original price being an optimistic goal. They overshot and under-delivered is what they did here. So they found that they discovered that it would cost more to manufacture the hardware than what they had originally intended. That is understandable, right? They're trying to make cutting-edge technology here, and they knew they were going to charge a premium for it. They're working with Prusa. It is a European company. Everything, as far as I know, is made in Europe for these products, so you can expect a premium price on these. Not the premium price that they're charging though. That is kind of a hard pill to swallow. So now I want to talk about another reason why these probably cost more than maybe they originally intended. So this is coming from a Prusa team member. One of the biggest factors is that import-export from Sweden is expensive from my understanding. That's a nice way to put it. So I live in America, and as far as I can tell, America is putting a 15% tariff on EU products. Now, at the risk of maybe upsetting some people, a tariff means that the people importing the product pays the tax. You pay the duty. So I would order the Index from Prusa, the Index that is made in Sweden. I import it to America. I pay an extra 15% on that product because I imported it. Sweden doesn't pay that. I pay that. Remember how I said that they promised back in Formnext in December that the price of the 8-tool changer for the Index was going to be about $820 USD. So now we're going to do some math, but first we need to do a little bit of a history lesson. Before all of the trade and tariff discussions started in 2025, the average tariff rate for importing from the EU to the US was 1.47%. I believe leading up to the August 2025 is when the current 15% tariff rate went into effect. Let's look at the prices of these kits in euros compared to USD. According to all3dp.com, in euros, the 4-head kit is 669 euros. We know it's 749 in USD. The 8-head kit is $8.99 in euros and $9.99 in USD. Now, the euro price does include the VAT, which is the taxes in Europe, but the USD price also includes the tariffs. The tariffs that now include 15%. This price of $999 includes a 15% tariff importing into the US. Before August of 2025, that only would have been about a 1.5% tax paid on import, which chances are Prusa or Bontech would have went ahead and absorbed themselves. So now I also wanted to figure out how much this would cost American consumers if the 15% tariff was not there. Now, how can we figure that out? If you take the total price divided by 1.15, which is 115%, that will then give you the price that you could pay if we did not have that 15% increase in cost. We have the price of $999. I'm going to take that divided by 1.15. And we have $869. If it wasn't for the 15% tariff, Prusa and Bontech could choose to sell this device to Americans for $870. Now, is that fair to Europeans who have to pay the taxes on it? I don't know. I'm not going to argue that. I just want to state that because of the tariffs here in America, the new tariffs that were implemented in, I believe, August of 2025, Americans have to pay about an extra $130 on top of what they could be paying prior to those tariffs going into effect. And you might think, that can't be right. Why would I be the one paying the taxes? Well, if you actually look at the website from Prusa, it says import duties are already included. So that means that the price of $750 and the price of $1,000 already includes those tariffs that you're going to have to pay. If it wasn't for those tariffs, this would be about $100 cheaper, at least. So that's what I wanted to get at. If I upset you, I'm sorry, but that's the world we live in. Just like this big thing back here. Do you think Bambu Lab actually absorbs all of the tariffs that they charge on these to import them from China? No. I had to pay tariffs on this. I can almost guarantee you that I had to pay tariffs on that, because they're going to increase their cost to cover the additional cost of the tariffs. It's making all of our hobbies more expensive. I'm going to end it with here. I wanted to cover the release of this new device, the promise that was made, the promise that was not delivered, and a reason why they might not have been able to deliver on that is completely out of their control. Out of control for Prusa, out of control for Bontech, completely out of their control, but they still have to charge you another $200 for it. Have fun, print more.